Okay, so basically, if we can see there that this is the listening, we have extract 1, uh, you have 12 question, extract 2, 12 question. So kind of conversation is history taking. We can expect a conversation between, let's say, doctor patient, let's say nurse patient, let's say physio patient, and so on, pharmacy patient, and so on. You'll be given, let's say, 30-second time before each extract, extract 1, extract 2. The nature of questions are notes completion. You have to listen to the conversation and you need to write down the answer. They will just play the conversation once, okay? And parallel, you have to write your answer. You will get the questions paper sheet where we have to complete the notes from the audio. So after listening to that, you have to complete the notes. And this question paper is your answer sheet as well. This question paper is your answer sheet. There is no extra or there's no answer sheet. Where would you transfer the answer, right? Anyhow, so afterward, let's say the challenges that might be involved in the listening part A. The first challenge that you may encounter if you are not having exposure to the listening in your daily life is the speed of the conversation. Because let's say if it's doctor patient or nurse patient or whatever, they are taking the history, doctor is taking the history from the patient. The speed of doctor might not be that much fast, but we can expect a fast speed from the patient. So most of the time, like 80% of the time, you will get your answer from the patient. And right away, when you are listening, at the same time, let's say, at the same time you are listening, and at the same time you are understanding, and at the same time, the same time, 0 margin, 0 second margin, you are writing. So comparatively, it's a tough thing if you are having problem with catching a speed. So make a pace with the speed so that you can write your answer, because the conversation is progressive and they're just making their own flow of speech, and accordingly you have to write down the answer. At time we have the margin in question, right? And at time we have group question, we don't have the margin, and coupled with the speed, it will be a difficult thing to handle. But with right practice and with the right exposure, you can work on the speed reading skills, sorry, speed listening skills. Anyhow, the second challenge that you may face is the accent problem. Again, like it's exposure related thing. You can see that in the most of the classes for by the teacher or the trainers, and like they don't put focus on this thing, the accent thing. As we believe that people having the background from the medicine, they are good to listen different things in their daily life. But at time we see that most of the students who are experiencing challenges in the listening part A, not for all, but I'm talking about the audience which has been experiencing challenge in their listening part A. And one of the problem is they don't understand the accent. So we can have the variety of accent. If you can just define the Britain, we have a lot of accent in the Britain. Let's say Wales, let's say London, they have different accent. Even the Scotland and the Ireland, these are different accent. Again, exposure related things are there. We can have variety of patient, but we are expecting Britain like accent, or maybe Australian accent, or maybe American accent. And we don't know, maybe extract one will be an Australian accent, or extract two maybe in American, or maybe this will be an American accent. So this could also be a challenge for you to catch the transition initially. Anyhow, the accent is also exposure related thing, couple the speed, so it may enhance the challenge in part A of your listening. Okay. The third challenge at time is the intonation challenge. Intonation mean like when the patient is giving you history with the normal pace and suddenly they drop the voice, maybe like that, and then again drop the voice. So we have the key answer in this part, right? This is your intonation. Information. While gathering the information, like the patient will be telling you something, and as these are the notes completion, he may, like give you the answer in the low tone, the low node rather than the high node, and we can expect the answer in the low node. Let's say I'm having this pain for last 3 weeks. It's quite terrible. Now this is 3 weeks part. My answer. This is terrible part, and terrible is not answer. It's quite terrible. I don't understand that. Like why I don't understand that why I'm having this pain. I even defined I have taken some therapies, but physiotherapy is not effective even. Not physio. So when he drops the tone, you can expect the answer in the low tone. So for that reason, you need to have the active listening skills, right?
Yes, sir, now I get it. Yes, sir, now I get it.
In the listening part, before we can discuss the question, the first challenge you may face is the speed. So from today, expose yourself to different listening resources. Even watching season will be fine related to the medicine. Then the accent related things, you give yourself as much exposure as you can. And similarly, this is a parallel thing that you will develop, right? Anyhow, speed, accent, and intonation. Okay. So afterward, we can see there that we have the question. First of all, there will be a background statement in the listening part. Now, background statement will guide you. Like you hear a doctor talking to a patient, you hear a physiotherapist talking to a patient. This will be just a guideline that will orient you toward the main task, content of conversation. Basically, the guideline will orient you. You hear a consultation between a cardiologist and a patient. You hear a consultation between a nurse and patient. You hear a consultation between a pharmacist and patient, right? So this will guide you. Already we discussed the nature of content is the history taking type of scenarios. Then we have 30-second time a break to have a bird eye view of the question. Even this is a time when you can predict few answer, not necessary, but you can anticipate the type of conversation. It might be helpful tool for you. And while having a bird eye view, put some marker in the consultation so that you can drive through these markers. Because at time, let's say if you have marked some answer, now these are the distractor part when he is going here and there. You must have a marker actually in mind. We must have marker in our mind. Like if you have this marker first, then you are following along. You put a major marker. For example, it could be the like the patient introduction or the presenting complaint. Then we have the examination marker, maybe something significant in the examination marker, and something treatment marker. These are another way. These are the sign posters. Now you drive the sign poster yourself. It might not be given as a history. Yeah, before this audio will start, we have 30-second time to go through to have a bird eye view. So in that 30-second time, you can mark the sign poster, you can mark the main transitions. Sometime we already have the heading given, no need to mark it, but at time we have not have the heading given, so you can mark your own sign posters, so you can follow along the track, so that you might not lost during the conversation. Anyhow, so after this part, we have 24 question in part A, 12 question a part. Our target should be 24 out of 24, right? because this is comparatively easy part as compared to part B and C. Listening is progressive. Part A is easiest. Then we have mild to moderate, and followed by you can say we have the uh, like what you can say it's your the most difficult part. Anyhow, okay, much important, right? As long as it's conveying the meaning, so grammar is not that important, right? So we can have something that is that is even not appropriate grammatically, but it's acceptable. We will not be looking for articles and all these things in the listening part. And similarly, for spelling, you can you can just have you need to be phonetically correct. What do you mean by the phonetically correct? Let's say if your answer is chaotic, so you can write down the answer that if your answer is pneumonia. No, we don't have separate answer sheet. I'll answer you. If you have the pneumonia, for example, we can write it down. It will be considered as the right answer, right? So, part A. Now we are discussing about the part B of the listening. Now, in part B of the listening, we have to see, like we have 6 questions, and you will be given like nature of question is multiple choice, right? So we have uh, first of all is the background statement in each question, and followed by the main stem. So for there are 6 questions independently. You will be having 15-second time for each question. Now, what we are expecting in part B, these are healthcare professional discussions or work related discussions. So basically, as we discussed, we have multiple choice of question. We have background question followed by main question. These are different conversation which includes your what we can say uh, consultation between doctor patient, nurse patient, and so on, such as patient transfer or patient handover, morning briefing, induction, like history taking, presentation, case study, and so on. So, what we can see that let's say there is a background statement, you hear a doctor discussing blah blah thing with his colleague. So, it's the background statement, what he emphasize on. So we have to understand the crux of the conversation, like what he is stressing on. We'll be having 3 options: A, B, and C. The challenge that you may face over here that in here they will narrate each and every option. They will speak each and every option. Maybe if this is the case, if they narrated C as it is the way it has been written, but C is not the answer to the question. So we can negate C and then they negate B, but let's say only one word was changed. Again, we can negate B in this way. And A was the answer, but it will be paraphrased. You will not get the right answer. So we will have to practice part B and C on the line of rule of elimination. What we have in the you can say your reading part B and C. So rule of elimination is to look for the wrong answer or try to make your answer wrong rather than looking for the right answer. Let's say if I will be listing, if they have started from C, I would like to make sure that how C cannot be the right answer. Okay, if I have listened this thing, I said, okay, no, this is not the answer to the question that has been asked, so I can negate it. Okay, they have spoken the same word, but this part was different, so negate it. Yeah, this was theme based. It was right, though they have not used those words, but the concept of the conversation is the same as has been mentioned in A. The point to ponder is that less likely you can have like the same word that they are using in the stems in the options and same in the audio could be the answer, right? So we have to see that mostly the answer will be highly paraphrased. So in part B, you will be given 15-second time before each question, and then we have 5-second time after each question. And there is no, let's say these are three options like that. So by the book, you are not allowed to mark anything anywhere like that over here. But still, if you're marking, try to make a margin like over here. It's my understanding. It's not a guideline. As per guideline, there should not be marking. And if your answer is B, let's say, just shade the answer. I don't know what's the problem with the pen. Just shade the answer like that. Complete the bubble, right? Do not take cross or do not like circle the bubble like that. It would not be marked as a right answer. The right approach would be that you have to complete this bubble shade, right? In part B and C. Anyhow, so afterward, we can see that we have part C. In part C, again, there are two extracts, extract 1 and extract 2. There are 6 questions per extract, mostly, and these are multiple choice type of question. And then we can see there in this multiple choice of a question, we have, you know, like dialogue, and here we have monologue. So, and it could be monologue both. It's kind of interview mostly, and it's a presentation. So the content here is the research oriented or academia content for both of the cases. So now let's say again in this part, first of all, there will be a background statement that you hear an interview of Dr. Blah and Blah discussing on blah blah disease. We will be given 90-second time first to read these 6 questions. So what you can do, at least read 4 questions, including the option thoroughly. Then they'll play the audio and you have to keep the track. You have to go for the elimination method. Same as we had applied for the V. And similarly, we have 90-second time for this extract and 6 questions. For the sake of example, there was a question in the text we were discussing once. I have a good example for that. It was a conversation between cardiologist and the he was discussing about the Chaga disease. The first question was why Chaga is neglected disease. Chagas is neglected disease, right? This was the question, right? So the main part of the question is to find the reason of neglection. Understanding of the question is also important. So these were 3 statements. Number A, because of the social group, it mainly affected. Number B, because patient often don't realize that they are infected, and because its impacts is less severe in most of the cases. So let's say if this is the question, I'd like to give you an example that what was the content of the conversation. The question is why, according to the doctor, the Chagas is a neglected disease. So when they started the conversation, they started with the definition of the disease, like Chaga is a blah blah disease, and in defining, they they narrate these two options, let's say B and C, and they will be using the same word. Let's say because patients often don't realize that they are bitten. Let's say so infected word was replaced with bitten. So that's why B is not the answer. And even why most of the candidates, like say in practice, they selected B as answer. Why? Because they have done the similar mistake as most of the candidates they do. They mark the same answer because patients often don't realize that they are. You can see that around 90% of the information is matching. But first of all, this is not a complete match. Infected was replaced with bitten, and this is not the answer of neglection. And even if the point is, if they just speak the same word, because patients often don't realize that they are bitten, again is not the reason of neglection. Then they go on and speak about the say third option. Its impact is relatively more severe, or in most of the cases. Yeah, its impact is less severe in few cases. Let's say so. Most was replaced with few. That's why it could not be the answer, right? And last one, they will paraphrase it. It relatively caught less attention, neglection will, or it has not been we can say caught the attention of researcher because of the marginalized community in Latin America who has this disease. So marginalized community in Latin America was the replacement of social group. So you can see that answer will be highly paraphrased, right? After that, next, like when this part C will be finished, after that you will be given 2 minutes time in total to see question 1 to 42 if you have time. So in part A there is no penalty for spelling mistake, and in part B and C you have to shade the bubbles. That's it, and do not mark anything in the question paper because this is your question paper and this is your answer sheet. So practice is the key to get the full mark and review the nature of mistakes, right?